Hello again. So, in this series, we will be discussing on the crystal defects. So, before I proceed with the crystal defects, let us understand that no crystal will be perfect in the nature. So, there will be certain defects, and that is the very reason why we may have certain difference in the experimental data and the theoretical data. So these defects, if we try to understand, then we will be able to correlate the relationship, and also this gives us an understanding on how the defects may occur and behave in any given crystal structure. So these crystal defects we'll be discussing in this video series. So moving forward, these defects are classified into four different types: point defects, line defects, surface defects, and volume defects. So this is how we can identify the defects based on the nature. So, coming to the next important point, some of these defects are sensitive to structure and some are not. So, structure sensitive properties are yield stress, fracture, and toughness, whereas the structure insensitive is density, elastic modulus. That means they do not vary because of the variation in the crystal defects. So, if we further classify these point defects, line defects, surface defects, and volume defects, they can be classified into vacancy, impurity, fractal defects, Scotty defects as the point defects, and line defects as dislocation, disclination, and dispiration, and surface defects, surface interface boundary, grain boundary, twin boundary, stacking fault. And in the volume defects, we have twins, precipitate, faulted region, voids, cracks, and thermal vibration. All right. So let us closely understand about the point defects. You can also call it as a zero dimension, but point defects basically. So these point defects are further classified into non-ionic crystals and ionic crystals. That means that which indicates which is in defect at a ionic level, ion in cation, those are called ionic crystals. If does not involve them and the defects are with non-ionic, then they come under the non-ionic crystals. So non-ionic crystals can be a simple vacancy or impurity. When I say vacancy, yes, like everybody guessed it correctly. So there might be certain vacancy in the alignment of the crystals. That means one atom position may be vacant. It may not be occupied. That is vacancy. When it comes to impurities, either it can be interstitial or substitutional. That means it may be a impurity that is an unknown or unwanted, or the external impurity may be present within the crystalline element within its interstitial position, or the regular atom position may be replaced by a substitutional. So impurities can be of two types: interstitial or substitutional. This is about non-ionic. When it comes to ionic, it can be either Frankel defects or Scotty defects. We'll see one by one. So let us see. So vacancy, this is the missing element. So this is the missing atom, which is in the regular position. So that is called vacancy. Very simple, easy to remember. When it comes to impurities, interstitial, that means the in between interstitial position of the atom is occupied by the third element or external element. So that is called interstitial. Whereas the substitutional, the regular atom position itself is replaced by any other element. So this is what we call it as impurities. So this, when it comes to ionic crystals, so overall electrical neutrality has to be maintained. And in the Frankel defect, you can see from the regular position or regular site of cation is being moved to some other place. So this displaced atom will not create any imbalance, but it still lies in the equilibrium. So this is called Frankel defect. So Frankel defects is similar to the vacancy. Only difference is it is not missing entirely, it is moved, it is shifted from the regular position site to somewhere else, and this is called Frankel defect, and this is observed in AGI, CAF2 and all. And when it comes to Schottky defect, here the entire pair, that is, an cation and anion, both are missing. So that is called Schottky defect. So in the Schottky defect, you can see when the pair is missing, still it maintains the equilibrium. So here, this is called Schottky defect. So When it comes to zero dimension, or let's say point defects, you have one is vacancy and impurities, that is interstitial or substitutional, and you have in the ionic Frankel defect and Schottky defect. This is about the point defects. Moving on, let us understand what is a line defect. So you can see in this video very clearly, this is how the dislocation occurs within the element. So that means entire line of array of atoms are dislocated, and it, when under loading condition, you can see very clearly how it is transferred and how it is moving from one region to the other region. So this is called dislocation. And we have two major things under dislocation: edge dislocation and screw dislocation. So you can see this is useful. So you can see the edge dislocation or screw dislocation, and also you have mixed dislocation. That means a combination of both the edge and screw. So if an array of atoms are missing or additionally extra, then it is called as dislocation. So it forms a slipped part of the crystal. So this side it is slipped apart, and this side it will be unslipped apart. And this motion of edge dislocation is either gliding, that is conserving, or non-conserving, which is climbing. And based on that, the notation may be inverted T or T. And this is how you can see very clearly. Initially, it is on this position, and slowly it will be gliding across, and finally it reaches this position. So this is called edge dislocation. So and when it is in the climbing, it will move this word. So this is about the edge dislocation. When it comes to screw dislocation, instead of in a longitudinal or lateral way, it will occur as if it is dislocated and moving in a screw or in a spherical manner. So with this as the dislocation line, the extra array of atoms will be moving in the form of a screw dislocation. So it is a screw movement. So this is called screw dislocation. And you can see this is how it slip plane in the screw dislocation will look like. And when it is a combination of both the edge and the screw, it forms a mixed dislocation. So because of these dislocations are only, there will be slip, fracture, fatigue, and creep. So this is the study of dislocation helps us to understand the deformation process of these things. Then, when it comes to surface defects, we have many other, but few important ones can be noted down. That is crystal air, surface, crystal, interface boundary, grain boundary. So the grain boundary, which is very popular in the microstructure, that is in metallurgy, that is also a kind of defect, and it comes under surface defects. And you also have stacking fault or twin boundary. Stacking fault is nothing but if you have in the entire surface, you may have a stacking of ABC, 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 and one A may be missing, and then it may say BBC. So that is called surface defect as a stacking fault. And we can see in the interface, there may be homogeneous or heterogeneous type, or disordered or random. All this comes under surface defects. So very important point is grain boundary. That is the area of mismatch between one grain to the other grain, and they are the last one to solidify, and they have high amount of impurities. And this orientation of grain from one to other, which separates the grain boundary, is a kind of defect, which is a surface defect. Now there can be two categories here as well. That is low angle grain boundary, which is the angle of orientation less than 10 degrees, is called low angle grain boundary. If it is more, then it is called higher order or high angle grain boundary. And we can see very clearly this is the grain boundary. That means this part is the grain, and from one grain to the other grain, there is a boundary which separates, that is a mismatch. And this orientation of or the growth of grain from one to other, if you see, if it is less than 10, it is called low angle, otherwise it is high angle grain boundaries. And twin boundaries is an interesting thing, which behaves like a twins, and you have an exact mirror twin, and the atomic arrangement of one side of the twin boundary is related to the other side in the symmetry operation, and it is usually in the mirror form. So this is called the twin boundary. And surface defects are associated with boundaries that are separated regions of materials, two-dimensional defects, and due to change in orientation, atomic plane, and stacking sequence, also there is a atomic plane difference. And during the solidification, mechanical or thermal treatment of materials, so all these things will help have an effect on mechanical properties, electrical properties, and corrosion resistance. So, and in the end, we have bulk or volume defects. So, in the bulk or volume defects, we may have precipitates, dispersants, or inclusions, or voids. So, in the volume defects, we may have certain precipitates or fractures of micro size, and may have certain inclusions, that is foreign particles or large precipitate particles which are not desirable, so those inclusions, or simply a voids, that is during the solidification certain trapped gases may be there, and these are all comes under volume defects. So here we have seen all four types of defects, that is point defects, line defect, and surface defects, and volume defects. So I hope you had good time learning these defects. See you next time with different topic.